Welcome to the 365 Message Center Show episode 384. Today we'll be covering a countdown timer, which I'm sure that Daniel would love to use sometimes on the show to get me to hurry along. That's going to be in Teams. We've got the ability to save user chats and channel messages for later, kind of like when we want to flag things in our inbox. So looking forward to seeing that. And also improving search in Teams for meeting-specific artifacts and things. That's great. Be able to prepare for our meetings and follow up. So that's what we've got for this week and a whole lot more. Let's get going.
Like
you got
now?
nothing to say. Nothing to say. Are we done?
You want to get started now or later?
Yeah, right now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So glad to be here with you, and so glad to be here with Daryl, who is the mastermind of all masterminds.
What? Where are you going with this?
Of bad things and good things too. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think things.
Welcome to, what did you say it was? 384? That's a lot of episodes, and it's been a great ride so far, and we're going to continue that ride. I really want to hear from you people, so make a comment down below on this YouTube video. As we go along, you have a question or you have a thought about something that's being covered, throw it down there in the comments. Let's engage and have a great conversation. And if you're on the audio podcast, hit us up on all the socials that matter at 365MCS and do the same thing. As you're listening, you can ping us and say, hey, this is what I think about this. You got it right, Daniel, and Daryl doesn't know what he's talking about. Things like that. You might want
important things like that.
Yeah.
I did have another connection with a group of people this week who said, hey, we listened to your show, came across it, and it is helpful. So it's good to know that we are reaching the audience that we aim to help, and more so, I guess, than we realize.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it.
Let's
into
do
the
that.
Messages. Is it okay?
Let's do that. Yes.
Microsoft Teams countdown timer for Teams meetings, MC1102785. This is the one that Daryl's saying in the very top of the show that maybe I'd like for this show to have. It's not true. Okay, maybe a little. So this is a feature coming to Teams that's going to allow any user, any attendee, to start a timer in Teams. Yes, any. I'm just going to stop right there, and I'm like, I was like, what? Anybody. But not the organizer, not the co-organizer.
For them?
No, it's for everybody.
For everybody.
So any meeting participant will be able to start a countdown timer, and it's going to be showing for everybody.
Like up in the corner somewhere?
At the top. It's going to be a bar that does like here's how much is left. And they can pause it. That user can stop it, can reset it, can cancel it. So not only any attendee can start this countdown timer like, man, this is boring. Here, I'm going to start this countdown.
Exactly.
Timer. Maybe it'll get people to shut up and hurry this meeting along. But they can go in and pause it. It's like, well, now that's not even efficient or effective, I guess I should say. I thought we were manage this meeting based upon this countdown timer, and it's paused or it's reset, or you can add time to it. And I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with this message if you can't tell already. I think I would love this with a couple of tweaks in the way it's being implemented. But
you share your tweaks and I'll share my ideas for tweaks.
So the key capabilities, you can set it up to 100 minutes, start, stop. I already talked about that. There's going to be visual and audio alerts, so that could be interesting. The color changes in the bar as it runs out of time. I'm okay with that. That actually is a nice visual indicator. You can hide the timer without affecting other people's being able to see it or not. I think for me, number one, it needs to be the organizer or the co-organizer that does this and nobody else, or at least just presenters. Now, many organizations, everybody joins as a presenter, but maybe if you're being very particular about a meeting and you don't want that, you can, designate who's going to be presenters for specific meetings, and then it would relegate those people to attendees, and they wouldn't have that capability of turning on the timer. I think for me that's the biggest one is having someone who's in charge be in charge really of it, instead of just anybody going, man, I'm bored with this, I'm going to start this timer, and that gets into this kind of like, well, you're being passive aggressive. Someone's talking too long, I'm going to put a timer of 1 minute on there and see what happens. I don't know. So that's probably my biggest tweak. What about you? What would be your tweak to this to make it?
I think we're going to need to have the ability to upload our own audio alert sounds, so that I could have the music they play at the Oscars when someone gives their speech too long. It was either the Jaws music or it was something else that they get played off. So
sure, but they do it in a way that is really soft at first, and then it grows louder and louder as you go over time. So that would be a really good implementation here as well. Like,
maybe.
It's like, and then as you go along, it's like really loud, and then eventually the way it just
drowns you out.
It drowns you out completely. It's like, I guess we have to stop.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is rolling out, targeted release mid-June 2025. So already-ish. I guess expected to complete by early July, so about right now, almost. And general availability worldwide early July, so this week 2025, expected to be complete by late July. I think this is going to be one of those where you're going to need to, I think you could just not say anything about it in your organization, governance wise, but I have a feeling the way it's implemented now, where you can just go, I'm going to start this thing because Johnny is just talking way too much. It's like, no, that's not your role, but this passive aggressiveness maybe. So might need some governance around that. Speaking of governing, I can't.
You don't know where you're going with that one,
I can't tie it in. I can't.
We could research some governance.
There we go. Research governance. How can we do that in notebooks, Terry?
What does this show come into when I have to do my own segues? No, I think I've found myself in that position. Anyway, yes, okay. Researcher in Copilot notebooks. 1, 2, 3, 4 words, but it says so much. MC 1099685. We have seen the arrival of notebooks in our Copilot experience. Very welcome. At its first release, it's got a few things that you can do, various different sources. You can start chats on those sources and keep it all focused. You can give it instructions. And it was around that time too, we had the researcher agent available. And researcher does that much deeper search, takes a little more Copilot power to get that done, and so much so that you only get, 15 or 20, 25? Anyway, you only get a certain number of researcher queries each month because there's some costs involved. Anyway, the good thing about running research, I'll just speak a little bit about that, is that it does go deep. It does go wide. It does find a lot of good things, a lot of good sources, and even after that first prompt, it asks you clarifying questions like, what kind of sources do you want? Do you want academic research? Do you want commercial research? What would you like me to do? Now, bringing it into notebooks, this Copilot notebooks, this makes sense. And that you are gathering together the sources, the exact sources that you want Copilot research agents to work with. Now, I think what's going to be important here is that you get lots of sources, that those sources have a lot of information, because if you've ever run Researcher with your M365 Copilot license, it does take a little while to come up with its results. It shows you all the steps about what it's doing and what it's reasoning over, and it does come out with some extensive reply in the results. Will it do that with your Copilot notebook if you only have 5 sources? Daniel, I've got a couple of little concerns around that and how it might work, but what's your thoughts around bringing an agent like this in that can make more sense of your Copilot notebook content?
Generally speaking, I think it's a good idea. I may have said this before, but I feel like, functionality like this needs to be everywhere. If we're going to be, it seems like Microsoft is very picky about where they're putting different functionality of Copilot in different apps and different places and such. And I feel like it should just be everywhere. So, having Researcher, that functionality in Notebook, I think makes sense to me. But I'm very interested in what your thoughts on that, on how, what the implications are outside of just the functionality of, providing me deeper research in the information I'm trying to track in my notebook.
Yeah, something that's said of generative AI in general is that you do get hallucinations, and you get times when generative AI can confidently answer and make up stuff. And because it's confident, we confidently go, oh, really, that's interesting, I'll take that and use it. I haven't used Researcher enough to say I've observed that behavior with Researcher. I think that what it has come back with has been quite good and interesting, and helped spark more thoughts for myself as I go and look at those sources. But I just would wonder, and would be interested in our audience's observations too as they try this out, whether all this overpower capability of Researcher gets turned on or used within a Copilot notebook that doesn't have many sources. What's it going to come up with? Is it going to still try and use its budgeted number of credits to come up with something and make things up? Or are you able to say, great, start here in my notebook, but also spill over and use some of the web for sources as well? So yeah, interested to see how that'll turn out. So this will be generally available, rolling out late June, now-ish, and expected to be complete by late July. Now, Daniel, something that I've often wanted to do when going through messages in Teams, and I'm pretty sure it felt like we used to be able to do this, was, that's nice, I want to get back to that later. Now, I know we've got tasks to be able to do that, but what if I could just flag it? Say what? I think you're muted.
Or bookmark it is maybe what I was thinking when I thought, wait a minute, isn't this very similar kind of functionality to what we have in other things? Anyway, let me dive into it, and then I can make that analogy. Microsoft Teams. Users can save chats and channel messages for later. MC1104306. So bringing in the functionality is you're looking at a message, and you're like, you know what? This is interesting. In the screenshot, this is a perfect example. Someone says, hey, you're having a chat one-on-one, and Daniela says, here is, the PowerPoint, take a look. And you're like, okay, that seems a little bit more involved than the time I have right now. So how do I remember to come back to this message? Until now, it's been, I guess I'll just remember, make a reminder or something.
Well, it's that more actions and the task thing, all right?
Yeah. But now I can save this message and then go into the saved messages view and see all the ones that I've saved. And so this can be instead of saying I got to go out of Teams or out of this thread and create a task or write it down for old school, I can just save this message and come back to it. I think it's great functionality. This seems like something that everybody's going to be using. And it's very, it's like a bookmark, right? You're just like, hey, I need to come back to this. I think this is something that I'm going to use a lot. And it helps you manage your time. It's kind of like the same way I use an Outlook, pinning a message for me and some people flag, depending on how you want to use this, because flag creates a task. But, pinning a message saying, I need to get to that today. This could be, hey, that's something that's useful. I need to get to it today or this week or however you want to manage this. I'm going to be asking for, now that I've saved messages, I want to categorize them and put some at the top. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, that's not what we have now. But this is something that is rolling out to give us that capability of catching up. Or keeping track of what we need to catch up on, really, is the way I'm going to use it. What do you think, Darryl? Is this something it sounds like you'll be using?
Oh, it actually sounds like it's something I used to use previously in Teams, and it disappeared, and kind of now it's back. So remember the really strange thing about it was you would save a message, and the place where you'd go to find it is underneath your profile. Here's your saved messages. Yeah. It's interesting they don't even mention that, hey, it's back or we've improved it, but they're talking about it like it's a brand new feature.
No,
I do like how they've implemented it.
This is one of those, you don't know, you've never seen this before. It's a Jedi mind trick. These are not the droids
you're looking for, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Jedi mind trick. You didn't know that this was been removed. And so this is rolling out targeted release early August 2025 and expect to be complete by mid-August, and then general availability worldwide, GCC High and DoD late August through early September. And this is for Teams on Windows, Teams for Mac desktop, and Teams for web, and Teams for iOS, so all of it.
Yay.
All the Teams. Yes, yay is correct. I will say one critique I have for this, and I know I've already read out when it's coming, and people are like, wait a minute,
we're ready for the next one, but no, please keep going.
Is that it is hidden under the ... I kind of want, if I'm hovering over a message, I want to save this message to be right there by the reactions. Make it quick. I don't want to have to click and then click. I want to hover and click and move on. So anyway, that's the way I would make a...
it actually could be tied to a reaction called, let's put a pin in that. So you could react and say, I'm putting a pin in it. Nice. And that also saves it.
Nice. Okay, Darryl.
Yes.
I would like for you to talk about a Copilot message, but I want it to be the shortest Copilot message ever put into the Message Center. And I also want it to be misleading. Can you come up with something like that?
Was that my prompt? Because I could probably just write a draft and then use your prompt and get it to reshape it. Yeah, look, as you read this, people, this week, what did you think initially? Microsoft Teams Facilitator Agent Notes in Chats Preview. Oh, goody! It's probably what you read. And then let me open this and check this out. And then you started to read the summary. AI notes in my... Oh, sorry. The message ID. MC1102759. Don't want to break tradition there, do we? Then we read the summary. AI notes in Microsoft Teams chat will be removed from public preview by the end of June. What? Okay, well, what is this? Because we don't actually get much of a description or an idea of what this feature is. And probably, being in preview, it means that not many of you have seen it. So this might be another one of those, we didn't really see many people seeing the value of this, and they're not really using it, so we're pulling this back and claiming a few more silicon trees for us to use in processing power somewhere else. The feature was that if you were in a one-on-one chat or a group chat, you could turn on AI Notes. It was called AI Notes, and I guess that feature is now called Facilitator in some other experiences of Teams. It would open up that Copilot panel, and it would keep a running commentary summarizing of this is what you've talked about in this chat. I've turned it on in preview for a few one-on-one chats and certainly on a group chat, and it had been more useful in the group chat experience because those tended to flow a bit more, and especially those that had a lot of messages coming in and back and forth, the summary was quite useful. You could almost look over and see it. Let me draw up a parallel here, Daniel. It's a bit like having your notes from college or university, and you've got the bulk of what you're writing, but then you might be using the Cornell method, and you've got your little summary down the side. This is all just fresh in the mind from research. Anyway, it sort of was an okay feature, but in the one-on-one chats, it just didn't really have a lot of value because you could just scroll back and see, okay, that's what we talked about. And if you really wanted this, you could get it on demand and just ask Copilot summarize something. So it is a short message, with not a lot of explanation for those of you who were like, well, what is this thing? I thought we were getting it, but we're not. And then it just breaks it down under each heading that, it's no longer going to be available. What do you need to prepare? Probably communication for end users that had it in preview and might miss it. Well, tell them, sorry, it's been removed. It's been removed at the end of June, which is nowish. I don't know. Daniel, what are your thoughts on this? Did you think that it might be something useful for you?
No, because what you talked about getting the summary from Copilot, I think that's what killed this, or maybe an input on one of the things that killed this is that at any time you can say, hey, Copilot, what have we been talking about? So I think that and maybe the idea that if it's ongoing, then that means Copilot is having to use processing power to do this when maybe you shouldn't be doing that on an ongoing basis. Maybe, anyway. So.
And it's a feature that is now in our meetings with the Facilitator agent. So it's the very same thing that will be listening to the transcript and occasionally dropping notes into our meeting notes, the one that's powered by Loop. So that's what it is. Sorry if you didn't get to try it, but let's see if something else useful comes up. Of course it will. Copilot, next message. I was sticking with Copilot, of course, but Daniel, tell me, is this going to be I don't know where I'm going with this, discussion on intranets versus agents?
Well, I guess it might. Microsoft Copilot. Access SharePoint agents in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. MC1099692. So, have you ever been on a SharePoint site, been working and interacting with the SharePoint agent that's on that site, asking questions, all that kind of stuff, and then later on, you are, hey, I want to get back to, or I want to have that information on, and ask more questions of that agent, inside that agent. And now you've got to go back to that site, right? So you got to navigate back to where you were. Well, not anymore. Now you could just go to the M365 Copilot app, and that SharePoint agent will be listed for you under, on the side of your recent agents. And so you'll be able to interact with it immediately. So you don't have to go back to that site. This could, Darryl was talking about intranets versus, Copilot, that kind of thing. There's a lot of rumblings going on and frankly, I think this has been going on for even before Copilot. Do intranets need to exist? I think that's a lot of, I think it's good questions to ask because it helps you answer the question and really remember what is important about centralizing information and information management and knowledge management, and making it available to your users in a concise way and that fits with your culture, et cetera. Right. So there's with taxonomy and all that. So there's helping you answer that question. So I think it's a good thing to ask. For this message, it is talking about bringing that agent in a place where you might be and you can get back to it. I think it's great because while I like taxonomy and while I like having an intranet or the hierarchy of, hey, I need to find information and here's how it works within my organization, and I can find it pretty easily through navigation. Sometimes I don't want to go through that, right? I'm in Copilot. I remember, this is a SharePoint agent I was asking, not, just Copilot, and therefore I want it to be grounded with just that SharePoint content on that site. Having that agent available would be great. And I think that really will start people using agents more, using SharePoint agents more. They've been very limited, they've been limited in the fact that you had to be on that site to use it, right? So that's what I'm getting to. Sorry, it took me a second, but to get to there. But that's the point, is that I don't have to be on that site. I can access the now. My first question was, well, what if I want agents to show up there that I haven't visited yet? But that's not what we're talking about here. This one is, I think, the very interesting that SharePoint agents are growing in the way they are helping people find out information, because I think, Daryl, Copilot, and you mentioned it earlier, Copilot can sometimes make stuff up because and AI is, generative AI across the board is like this, not just Copilot. It wants to answer your question. So if there's not an answer, it just says, sometimes it goes, I'm going to make something up because I really want to make this user happy. But we as organizations don't want that to happen, right? We want only authoritative information to be part of an answer when a user is asking about company benefits or policies and procedures or whatever. We don't want generative AI to make stuff up. And so we want to ground it. We want to say, no, you have to answer based upon the content on this site. Well, we need those agents to be more accessible than just on that site. So I think this is a great improvement. What do you think, Daryl? You agree with me?
Oh, yes, this time, Daniel, this time. So I was just looking at the timer to see whether... No, call back to a previous message, just kidding. I think that the Copilot home experience, if I can call it that, M365.cloud.microsoft, we come to the Copilot Chat, has becoming, I guess, the place to go to initially, maybe pick up from where you left off with your different Copilot experiences. And what I do like is that history follows you around. You can see your chats. I like that agents from SharePoint agents are being added to that experience too. That I can go back and say, what was it that I was looking at and trying to research, and what conversation did I have with Copilot going on for this site on our intranet? And being able to continue from there. It's be interesting though, like how that list of recent agent experiences will be managed, because SharePoint agents have the potential to explode because everyone can create them, and they can create them with something as little as, let's choose these 3 documents and create an agent for them.
Well, and to that point, I think this message reminds everybody, admins can remove agents by deleting the file. Because you remember, it's just a .agent file stored in the SharePoint site. So if you want to remove an agent, you can. But you're right. Agents, there's a few problems with agents, just like there's a few problems with every functionality. I'm not highlighting and saying agents are bad, SharePoint agents are bad. One of the kind of issues is that anybody on the site can create one, right? Anybody that has that permission to create files. So anyway, this is rolling out worldwide mid-July 2025. So couple weeks-ish. So looking forward to that and see how that is implemented. Let's finish off by searching for an ending to this meeting. How could I do that, Daryl? Search for meetings.
Well, you could search for that meeting in Teams on your desktop. Meetings search in Microsoft Teams desktop, MC11043117 is getting improvements. All right. I do think that, when we go to use the search box in Teams, people have had mixed opinions and thoughts about its success in coming back with useful information. And it's good to see meetings becoming another object, another thing that we can search for, and then start to plan to prepare for that meeting, or see who else is attending, maybe even join that. So when you go to search for a meeting, you can search for maybe the meeting name or participants in the team search bar, and from there you could choose, let's join that one. Let's take a look at the recap for that meeting. Let's RSVP to it if we've sort of had in the back of our mind, oh, that's right, I didn't actually respond to that, so I need to let people know that I'm planning to come. Or access the meeting chat and additional artifacts around it. I think that, that actually brings value again into Teams, even for those who aren't using something like Copilot for searching stuff. You get this as part of the product. You can go in and look for that meeting and prepare, look at, review, and work through that. It looks like it's introducing a new meeting pill. So that's your little filter. You have your chats, your channels, your something else's in your meetings, and then there's also a dedicated tab there for the meetings on the search results as well. I can see myself using it to catch up with meetings. I have been using the Meet app as well. That's probably not so well known by people. If you've added that to your Teams, that can be useful too.
And we talked about that previously wait, there's a Meet app?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's going to be useful. Currently it's just aimed at bringing it to Teams desktop. We don't know about the mobile experience or the web experience at this point, but maybe that'll come later. Yeah, so targeted release rolling out early June, and like nowish, complete by mid-June, so it should be there-ish, unless you're in general availability-ish when it arrives for worldwide GCC High, D&D, rolling out mid-June-ish. Actually, so there you go-ish. It's actually still probably arriving-ish on your desktop-ish, and completed by late June-ish. So then, therefore, it is-ish already here-ish. Why are we talking about ish?
I don't know.
26th of June was when this was published, and we're at the 28th, and they're talking about early and mid, and we're already at the end. But we are at the end of the show.
Are indeed.
You sad about that?
I'm very sad, everybody. But until next time, because there will be a next time, so don't have to be too sad. Remember to hit us up on all the socials that matter at 365MCS, and leave a comment down below on the YouTube video if you're watching. We'd love to, again, know your experience and your questions or your thoughts so that everybody can learn from everybody else. So we'd love to get your comments and thoughts.
Absolutely. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.